Hey everybody, Mark Davis in the wake of our Monday, November 5th election eve show, and beneath this calm exterior, there's a talk show host who's an emotional wreck. No, actually, in all seriousness, just waiting, fingers crossed, just waiting. I have a certain requisite combination of confidence and yet nervousness. It's like, dare we dream? Dare I dream along with many of you? I don't presume unanimity. There may be the occasional Obama voter hopping by, and maybe you folks are the ones who are really kneeling with hands clasped, that maybe all the polls of late have been wrong, showing the Romney, the surge toward Romney and Ryan. But look, what's going to happen is going to happen. We'll chronicle all of it for you here on 660 AM The Answer. In putting together today's video blog, I thought, what can I do for you? How can I be the greatest blessing to the highest number of people? I can hammer something ideologically, I suppose, because I do enjoy doing that. But I thought, nope, what I'm going to do, I'm going to get you comfortable with the Electoral College. Aha. And maybe you already are, and if so, great. Listen along anyway, because I hope this is an argument that you can use, because you're going to run across people who will say things that sound very sensible. And I used to weigh the merits of this. I never was an Electoral College basher or let's do away with it, rah, rah, rah. But I found myself at times in my mush-brained, misspent youth wondering, why isn't it true that the guy who gets the most votes wins? And shouldn't it be that way? I mean, I'm a marketplace guy. Number one movie is the one with the most viewers. Top-selling car is the one that sold the most units. Why isn't the presidency that way? Why shouldn't the guy who gets the most votes wins? And as we stand here on the eve of Election Day, please, God, don't let this happen. A lot of Democrats hope that it was. I have Democrat friends who say, you know what's going to happen, Mark? Karma is a you-know-what, and it's going to come back and it's going to get you. Romney will win the popular vote and lose the presidency. And then, Talk Show Boy, will learn how fond you are of the Electoral College. And the answer is, I will still be fond of it, because it is genius. It is part of, if you will, American exceptionalism. It is part of what makes us unique. So here it comes, a big, hopefully short, study in why the Electoral College is absolute genius. Here's what you have to get past. When you talk about one person, one vote, and that's just the way it ought to be, that's called the House of Representatives. When the founding fathers set up this country and set up the Constitution, they said, we're going to have one house of government that is very much about one person, one vote. The winner is the winner. That's the House of Representatives. Please understand that it's only since the 17th Amendment that we've done the Senate that way. Before that, the state legislatures determined who our senators were. So in looking for a successor for Kay Bailey Hutchison, the folks down in Austin, obviously whom we vote for, but it keeps it kind of a step away, but the folks down in Austin would determine who our next senator is. It's kind of interesting. One wonders if it would or would not be Ted Cruz under those circumstances, because God knows it will be at the ballot box, and I'm certainly okay with that. But here's why the presidency is not one person, one vote, put them all into one big hopper. The founding fathers knew that we were not going to be something like Finland or Jordan or Uganda or Australia, where if you're at one end of the country or the other end of the country, it's kind of the same thing. The country's not called America, except conversationally. The country is called the United States of America. The leadership of the presidency is put into what branch? There's the legislative, there's the judicial. The presidency is the executive branch. He is not a directly elected representative of each individual American in exactly the same proportion. He is an executive. He is a manager of a federation of first 13, now 50, independent states. It is a management job. And what the founders said that they wanted to have happen is to have that guy not just go out and campaign in the big population centers. You could go to America's 10 biggest cities, hold rallies, you're done, because how much extra population is there after that? But instead, they wanted a president who would have the responsibility of cobbling together a constituency made of the states that have 3 and 5 and 7 and 9 electoral votes. That's why, for example, in these final days, that's why, Mitt Romney is in New Hampshire. We just got a handful of electoral votes, but he might actually need them. Whereas if it was pure popular vote, he wouldn't have to go to Concord or Portsmouth or Dixville Notch or anywhere up in the frozen hinterlands of New Hampshire. In Wyoming, who would ever go to Wyoming? Of course, who goes there now? But that's another story, and I love Wyoming. But the bottom line is the Electoral College is a way to make sure that the individual states are exalted and lifted up as the entities that must be won through popular vote in those states, but ultimately it is a states Call it a states' rights issue, if you will. It happens fairly rarely that someone wins the popular vote and does not win the election. So as we take a look at what might happen in this election, the popular vote, I believe, is going to be quite close. The Electoral College may not be. In 1968, Nixon beat Humphrey by really only a little, but it was an electoral margin of more than 100 votes. In 1976, Jimmy Carter beat Gerald Ford only by a little, but it was an electoral margin of more than 50. So a narrow popular vote does not mean a narrow electoral win. So since the next one of these that you will see will be after the election, here's to hoping I'm smiling and that you are. No matter what your politics, I hope you're smiling because you have an opportunity to come be heard on The Mark Davis Show. 7 to 10 a.m. Central Time, 5 to 10. I do 5 to 8 on Friday mornings on Bill Bennett's Morning in America. That's going to be a shindig this week, isn't it? And we invite you to listen to Bill before me and listen to me as I host for Bill on Fridays 5 to 8 and then 2 local hours 8 to 10. So there it all is for you, a week of shows like no other that lie ahead for election week. I'm Mark Davis, and I really appreciate you being here for us here in the video world and on the radio at 660 a.m. The Answer.